anyone help let others in if possible? Okay.
Absolutely. Please make me co-host.
All right, no problem. Yep, we'll go ahead and do that now. And we'll go ahead and get started. I appreciate everyone jumping in and jumping on time. And as you already heard and already seen, once again, we're going to talk about literally some of the changes that's taking place in the industry. I know you guys have heard quite a bit about some of the changes, whether that be externally or internally within, the industry within our actual company or solar installer, as far as freedom and everything that they have to offer. But definitely externally from the overall industry overall. And we'll jump into some of that and really let everyone in. So this is going to be a very quick, straightforward, to the point presentation, and I really want to open it up more for questions. Now, what I can say is that I'm not going to have all of the questions, but I might have a good idea as I've kind of experienced this in the industry. This is going to be either the third or fourth time where something was proposed to change the incentives and it caused the exact same moment that's happening right now, right? Sometimes a lot of confusion, a lot of fear, a lot of companies rearranging themselves and things of that nature. So this has happened multiple times, and I've lived through it, thank God. But yeah, we're gonna go through some of that same information now. So I'm gonna jump into this. And we're gonna go from it from here. And once again, for those just helping let everyone in, please do up as we go ahead and get started. So can everyone see what's taking place on the screen here? Awesome, perfect. So once again, I mean, we're really going to talk about the evolution of the solar industry, right? And exactly what this means for you, right? Your clients, and then the industry overall. Now, if you aren't already aware of what's taking place in the government, here is what it is right here, right? So what's actually being proposed? So and we're going to talk about this, the big beautiful bill. Once again, I'm not here to talk about politics of any other sort, besides what we're talking about here specifically from or within the solar industry, right? But what's actually being proposed is to remove the 30% federal tax credit for specifically residential solar and storage installations. Now, that actually has passed the House of Representatives, and they're discussing this right now as we speak in the Senate, right? And if you know or if you don't know, this bill is supposed to be passed by July 4th, right? So that's actually this Friday, upcoming Friday. So what we're going to talk about is what is going to take, or what could take place, I should say, if things actually move forward in that direction, but what would take place if it doesn't, right? And there's a lot of moving pieces here, right? So let's kind of dig into it. So in this bill, there's a lot of stuff, all right? And there's a lot of stuff. We can have conversations for days about everything that's in there. But once again, pertaining specifically to the solar industry, there's two areas of that we need to pay attention to. First one is Section 25D, right? And basically what this talks about is the credit that is used by homeowners to purchase their solar system, whether it be cash or loan, right? They're looking to take that away. And this is a very important statement that I'm making. If the bill takes place, right, it would end the tax credit by December 31st, right? So at literally at the end of the year, meaning all solar systems after that get installed by January 1st won't receive any 30% tax credit. Now, that's a very big statement. And once again, this is what's being proposed right now. I just want to actually be transparent and say that as I told you, they're in Senate right now discussing these changes right now as we speak. Everything that I'm saying today could be very different tomorrow once we find out, what takes place. But once again, it's supposed to be proposed or finalized, I should say, by the 4th. So that's the first section. Obviously, this affects all of our homeowners and clients when it comes to residential solar, when it specifically with cash and options. And I'm going to dig into this a little bit more. But as you hear what I'm saying and as you may have questions, please jot them down so we can answer them afterwards. So the second one is Section 48E, right? And the credit that's used towards lease and PPA systems will also be taken away. Now, this is going to change things, right? As there's some companies that rely heavily on those tax credits for lease and PPA systems heavily. Like their whole business is based around that tax credit, right? Now, for finances and cash options, once again, they're giving it until December 31st. But for leases, literally the next 60 days. All right. The next 60 days, if a system is not already in play within the next 60 days, then literally they won't have that option moving forward. All right. So that's a big deal. This is what's currently being proposed. And as it's in Senate today, there may be some changes to this. But if nothing changes, this is what it would look like. Now, also did some research on the, what is it? On the commercial side. And what's being proposed, I didn't put this in the presentation, but what's being proposed is from the commercial side. Literally, there's going to be a phase out process between now and 2028, right? So it's going to go down, I believe that I forget the specific percentage, but I know if it's at 30% this year, the next year is going to go down to 18%, right? And I forget the remainder percentages as far as the tax credit, but this is from the commercial side, right? So it's gonna be a step down process from commercial. So we're talking about residential, cash, and loan options. We're talking about leases, and then we'll also mention commercial solar as well, right? So long story short, all of these incentives are being proposed to go away. No problem. This is what it is right now, right? Perfect. So as we continue, I want you guys to really take a look at these numbers as far as what has taken place in the solar industry over the past, I would say, but over the past 10, 15 years or so, right? So the adoption of solar, right? As you can see, all of the different energy sources at the bottom, solar is the biggest, right? As far as new additions, as far as energy generation in the US, right? So the solar industry itself has been making a huge dent, right? In reducing electricity costs and creating a cleaner way of generating electricity in the US, definitely in the world, but specifically here in the US, as you can see, right? I believe the last time there was an issue, not an issue, the last time there was a adjustment with the incentives that's taking place right now, there was two. It took place in 2018 and it took place in 2022. I forget the specifics when 2018, but I know in 2022, it was proposed to drop the tax credit from 30% to 22%, right? So as you see that dip in 2022, and it's a small dip, but this is how much the incentives play as far as homeowners making the decision to move forward. So it's a big deal overall, right? But these are the numbers, right? And I always like to say men lie, women lie, numbers don't. These numbers are actually showing you what the solar industry has been doing for the past 15 years. But in addition to that, right, when we think about all new projects, and this is going to, incorporate in a few different other areas. But as you hear about AI, as you hear about data centers that need to use and run so much electricity, and these are the new projects that are being developed right now that are already in the works. And as you can see, a large majority of them, about 50% of the new upcoming projects are within the solar industry. So all of these projects have the possibility of not going through because of some of the changes that's taking place. So believe it or not, this actually works in our favor, right? We're not the only ones here fighting for solar to stay where it's at. And this is why I have a lot of optimism about what's taking place because it's not just, salespeople or, homeowners aren't fighting necessarily fighting for this. But it's not just us on this level that are fighting, but there's so many big corporations and, just people who are actually building the future of electricity generation. Their work, energy, time, money is already invested in this solar industry. So it's much bigger than us, right? So trust when I say there's a lot of forces fighting against everything that's trying to take place now, right? But with that being said, we still don't necessarily have any control over what takes place, right? And this is more from the perspective that I'm referring to, right? So, anyone familiar with ROI, the word ROI, and what that means, right? So if you're not familiar, ROI is once again return on
Return
investment.
on investment. Yeah.
Absolutely, right? So when a homeowner goes solar, Uh, and this is a conversation that most times homeowners don't really know and understand. Or not, let me not say know and understand. It's not really talked about as much, as far as the ROI on going solar. And the specific reason why is because a lot of homeowners sometimes when they go solar, they're really just looking at the monthly price, right? So they want to make sure that their monthly price drops from whatever it is, let's say 250 to now maybe 180, right? 150, something to that nature. That's really what they're focused on. So they don't really see or really talk too much about ROI. Now, there's some homeowners that are educated on this and they focus on this, but most aren't. But that will probably change if things move forward, and I'll discuss how and why later, right? But basically, ROI when it comes to solar is the time that it takes you to recoup the overall solar investment and literally have the system paying for itself, right? Now, this is very important because as things change, right? Oh, before I jump into that, right? So just the system parameters, this is a general average system size, right? So we're talking about an 8 kilowatt system that's producing roughly 10,000 kilowatts per year, all right? And it's consuming 100% of the homeowner's electricity needs, right? Let's just say the electricity rate in that state is 17 cents per kilowatt, right? And this is roughly the average. I know in New York it's roughly about 36, almost double that. And we also were talking about the panel degradation, right? So 0.25%, right? So these are all of the basics and parameters of a traditional system as I show you the difference in ROI with the tax credits and without, right? Now, once again, this is the basic system. This is how things are going to look slightly different, right? So this is a very important graph. As you see, the blue line is with the ITC. So that is with the federal tax incentive in place. So the average for an average ROI timeframe of when the system basically pays for itself is within year 10. That means a homeowner goes solar, they go with a finance, they pay their system off, they paying it, paying it, paying it. On average, roughly in 10 years, right? The system, basically starts paying for itself. Now, that's roughly on average, right? Now, without the ITC, without the federal tax credit, it's just literally going to take an additional 3 years. So believe it or not, this is not that big of a deal, right? It's not that big of a deal, right? I want you to think about whoever's been on solar consultations and kind of seen how a solar consultation works. All this really means is that the monthly price, instead of there being so much savings, it might be more of a bill swap, which means if their bill is 250 per month, then their solar bill may be 250 per month. Basically the same, right? Now, not too much of a difference. So we can't sell on savings anymore, is my point, right? But even if I was paying 250 a month with solar, is that a better proposition than paying the utility company that's going to continue to go up every single month? Of course, right? this is the new proposition, right? In addition to that, a homeowner staying in their house for the next 10, 15, 20 years, obviously, as you can see here, if the homeowner stays in the house for 10, 15 years plus, it's going to be a benefit to them to have solar. Why? Because once again, they would basically they would have paid off their system in that time frame. So it makes sense. And this is a system without a battery, as you can see. I'm gonna show you a system with the battery and the difference in time frames, right? So a system with the battery, obviously, as we all know, a battery adds more cost to the overall system, right? But with the tax credit, we're talking about roughly 13 years that it would take to pay that system off, right? And now without it, it's going to take a little bit longer. Now we're talking about 18 years. Now, here's the interesting thing about this. Because we're all on a call, we're all familiar with tax credits, we're all aware of what's going on in the world. Believe it or not, there's some people who have no idea what the big, beautiful bill is. Have no idea, right? And they won't know unless you tell them. Now, over the past week or so, I've been getting swamped with calls because people have been starting to hear past clients who I know have, or I've sold solar to in the past, and they're now referring more and more people over as they're hearing about it. But my point is, there's some people who have absolutely no idea that this is taking place. So, point to that as well is that we don't want to what's the word? We don't want to panic, right? And start, getting, beside ourselves and just making things worse than they are because believe it or not, as I mentioned, some people aren't even going to know that or what is actually taking place. They're only going to know what you present to them, right? And what you present to them as solar being still a benefit with or without the federal tax credit. And I know Ms. Johnson, we speak about this often, and this is also a situation in New York, is that are also state tax incentives, right? So because the federal is leaving, that doesn't mean that the state incentive is leaving, right? So this is a big deal as well. State incentives add an additional reduction to the overall cost. So this is going to be in different states. Obviously, there's the different states have different incentives. So we can all look into that and see what incentives are in place for each and every state. But I know in New York there's a 30% what is it um, property tax abatement in addition to another $5,000 state income tax credit, right? And another incentive as well. So in different states, as mentioned, there's different incentives based on, once again, that state. So as the 30% federal tax credit disappears, what may take place is that some states may step up and now start adding their own incentives to overall solar deals. And that's going to help. That's a possibility that may happen as well. So what this is going to do overall for the overall industry, this is going to start separating the real from the fake. I've already started speaking to different installers, and we've had pretty significant conversations overall. But basically, what they're mentioning is that, listen, there's a lot of people who come in this industry and bastardized it, right? So they went around and they oversold clients, and they basically took advantage of that tax credit, right? And they used it for their own advantage instead of using it to the, advantage of the client, right? So here is the best time where you'll need and want to establish yourself as the go-to consultant. Not and I say consultant, not solar consultant, but home essentials consultant, right? Because now is going to be very important to diversify what you have, right? Not just solar. You may speak to someone, about from the solar perspective, but here in Build, as we all know, we have so much more to offer, right? So you want to be a consultant when you speak to your homeowner so they can take advantage of not just solar, but all of the other services that we have, because that's going to be very important moving forward. But in addition to that, this is going to eliminate some of the bad solar sales reps. As I mentioned earlier, their one trick that they had is not going to exist anymore, right? So that one trick was a 30% federal tax credit. I say it's a trick because you can use it and manipulate it, tell people who aren't going to take advantage of it that they will. And you can, once again, manipulate a lot of situations with that. And those people will disappear from the industry if the federal tax credit disappears, right? So believe it or not, this is a good thing. And this is also why I say is the industry is evolving, right? This is also why you see certain companies shifting, right? They're not necessarily going out of business, right? If you look up what took place with Mosaic, they didn't, if anyone knows, they didn't necessarily go out of business. They did file for bankruptcy, but they're restructuring their business to, I guess, deal with some of the changes that may come, right? So once again, there's a lot of restructuring taking place in the industry overall. And you'll see that from a standpoint of certain people just no longer be interested in the solar industry from a sales perspective. And in addition to that, as I mentioned, as I was showing you the graphs, we'll need to sell. I have the word sell here, but it should be consult. Consult with people based on value instead of price, right? So if the bill goes through, price may not necessarily be the overwhelming reason of why a homeowner will go solar. It's going to be on value. As I mentioned, if you're paying 250 a month for electricity costs, and you know for a fact that that cost is going to go up, right? Is which one makes more sense? Paying 250 a month for your utility company, or let's just say paying 275 a month for solar and knowing that it never increases ever again. It's funny because we just had this situation with a client in Georgia, and this is something that they didn't necessarily understand, right? Their electricity cost is going to continue to go up. This is an older gentleman on a fixed income, and once again, their electricity cost is going to go up. With solar, it's not. That's obviously a better, proposition to have or situation to be in than dealing with increasing rates over time that you can't control. Right. So this is what and how it's going to affect us all on the line right here. And we want to be ready for it and prepare for it. Right. But this is how it's going to affect your client. So literally, if this bill passes, which it might, right? If it passes, literally for the next 6 months, there's going to be basically a gold rush, right? And what do I mean by a gold rush? All of the people who have been on the fence about going solar, now will be the time to push like never before because there's really going to be an incentive. And it's going to be the 30% tax credit, right? It's like take advantage of it now instead of waiting and not taking advantage of what you were going to, what they were basically giving you for free, right? So this is what's going to take place if that bill gets pushed, right? And clients will be more likely to move forward with people that they know, like, and trust. So in the last slide, when I talked about kind of like standing out as that go-to home essential, consultant, this is why it's so important, right? They're going to be looking for people that they know. So referrals from family, friends, neighbors, right? And just people in your general circle. Trust me, as the word gets out, there's going to be people who have been sitting on the fence who I just spoke to a lady about an hour and a half before we got on the call just now. And she says she's been looking for solar for literally about 4 years now. But she's just been canceling consultations left and right with everybody else that she's had. Um, Basically because there was no real incentive to do it. Right? So she called me from a referral. This is someone who I installed maybe 3, 4 years ago. They got my information. She called me and she's like, yeah, I'm ready to move forward now. And she's like, I've been paying attention to everything that's going on in the news, and now I'm ready to have a consultation. In other words, she's ready to move forward because she sees what's happening, right? And I'm telling you, this is going to start happening a lot more, but it's going to happen to those who actually have, their rods out there, right? And are looking to possibly help people. In addition to that, once again, after December 31st, things may, right? And I should have put that in capitals, but things may not be the same, right? Now, the reason why we say may is because the last time we went through this, not saying that it's going to happen now, but they did actually reduce the tax incentives. It went from 30% to 22. But literally after they reduced it, I believe about a month after they rose it back up to 30%, right? So once again, there's a lot of shifting and things going on in the industry, but we want to what's the phrase? Prepare for the worst, expect the best, but prepare for the worst, right? So once again, that's what we're doing and that's the mindset that we're having.
Idris, you are on mute.
About that. Sorry about that. Let me open it back up again. All right, sorry about that. Okay, so yes, the overall effect, the solar payback will push the overall time frame back, and it's going to be a less accessible to the masses. What does that mean? Well, most people who go solar aren't going to buy their system cash, right? And most people, they may finance it, but they won't have the 30%. That's fine. But if everything goes through as we mentioned, they're going to basically wipe out the lease and the PPA systems, basically, right? So that's going to prevent quite a few people from going solar. Once again, I have to keep prefacing this if this bill moves forward. We can have a conversation next week and it could be very different, right? But solar, overall, solar will be cheaper, a source of energy, and it's always going to be a better long-term investment for homeowners, always, right? For that example that I use, as far as energy rates going up and your solar bill not, right? There's always going to be that benefit overall. And if someone is going to live in their house long term, then it only makes sense for them to pay for something that's adding value to their house, that they'll eventually get a chance to eliminate than to continue to pay an increasing electricity bill overall. Right. So I believe that is all of the slides so far here. Yep. That's all we have here. So I'll open it up just for any questions that anyone may have, just in reference to anything we went over or discussed so far. Any thoughts, any questions from anyone at all? Okay, let's look at the chat. So return on investment, definitely. Okay, so why do they want folks to be afraid? So why do they want folks? Yes, Miss Wynn.
So, I know that it's still premature to know anything because we
Yeah.
don't even know if this is going to pass, although certain people want it to pass, right? Um,
Mhm.
and I know after the House approved this bill, we had a Freedom Forever came in, we had a conversation with them.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking with all of the industries and different companies and organizations who have already switched to renewables, how might, with all, I'm certain that there's going to be some lobbying efforts to prevent this from passing or to get it reversed. Um, so I'm not certain. I don't know that we should be panicking at this point. I think we should be prepared, but I don't think we should panic. And that's all I would like to share at this moment. Thank you.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Definitely don't panic. That's not a good recipe for success in any way, shape, or form. But once again, it's getting close to that time. And yeah, it once again, I'm just showing if it does happen, right? What we can look forward to in the future if it does, right? Obviously, we don't know as of yet, but you know. a lot of things have been unpredictable based on, the administration that's in the office today, right? Without jumping into too many different details. So we have to kind of mentally prepare for that, ahead of time. Right. But yeah, definitely appreciate that. And those are words from, the wise for sure. Yes, Marva.
Yes, sir. Sorry I had to hop on later. But it what do we say to the people that we're talking to this week about solar?
Yeah, so that's a great point, right? And I was literally just about to touch on that as well. So I would use the same type of urgency, right, without jumping into too much detail, right? Just use the same type of urgency. Listen, and it's funny because some people use this regardless. Listen, you should go solar now, because there's governmental incentives that are on the table today. I'm not sure if they'll be on the table tomorrow. You need to look into this as soon as possible. When can we book a consultation? All right. That's literally it. And the reason why I'm showing this to everyone on the line is so you understand what's going on. Because here's the reality. Sometimes we see changes taking place within the company, within just a variety of different things. Sometimes we don't really understand why these changes are taking place, right? No one's actually explaining, okay, this is what's taking place, right? So the reason for the changes is everything that I just mentioned. Right? Because companies and build freedom, so on and so forth, they're preparing for what might be and what might take place, right? So you want to know about that. You want to know if it does go right, or if nothing changes, then things are going to be as normal. But if things do change, once again, what they'll actually look like.
So are we going to be able to access this call for the people that had to work at this time?
Yeah, it's being recorded as well.
Is it going to be in the back office?
Yeah, I believe Omi is putting it on Facebook on a team page, so we'll be able to access it.
Is it
Uh,
will it be a YouTube? Because I have people that can't get on Facebook. We're struggling with that for them.
yeah, so it should be a YouTube that they'll
Okay,
be able to access.
thank you. Thank you.
Absolutely, absolutely. Any other questions at all from anyone else? Did it make sense, or does it make sense as far as what's going on? Right? Is everyone clear on what's going on? Is any and everyone paying attention to what's actually taking place out there as far as the big beautiful bill and how that's turning out and stuff?
Yeah, this is the wit right here speaking. How you doing?
No
Um,
worry.
Good. Now I was hearing some of the lease, I guess some of the lease providers already stopped. But I don't know. I guess it's probably take cautious. Don't sell too many no leases right now. All loans at the moment. You don't know they're gonna pay
Yeah,
out.
yeah. What's the specific question?
No, I was just saying. Did you hear of any other TPO companies already stop saying don't take any more projects at the moment?
I didn't hear of anyone stopping completely, right?
Okay, and it was one I know one of the people you IDS one of the third parties just already stopped off the
Yeah,
news today.
You
But
you said IGS?
yes, they're
Okay.
not taking any more projects until they find out till Friday, I guess.
It
Um,
wasn't Posigen?
Posigen as well, I believe, might stop as well until they figure out some clarification. And then I got word that Good Leap also they're expecting any day or two to do the same until we figure out a clear direction of what's going to go on. So, like what you were saying before, I guess it's just safe to just sell all loans at the moment.
It's safe to, what's that last part? Safe,
Selling
safe to
loans,
what?
it
Oh,
probably just be safe to just sell all loans at the moment until we get some clarification.
yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I've heard summers of that, but I think which one was that? There was a IGS, but I know at least in New York, that went through yesterday. And PosiGen, I heard a little bit about PosiGen, but I haven't gotten any updates on that as of yet. I think that it might be a little different in Maryland where you're at. Are you in Maryland or DC?
Both. I'm
Both.
mainly in DC. Um, that market I think might be still good with leases if Positans available. I think worst case they'll do like a 7 or 9 cent PPA instead of the 0 cents. Um, so hopefully we're good for that situation. But yep. We're just gonna keep moving forward, man, and try to do what we can and just adapt, you know. That's all.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's another thing. As mentioned earlier, it's going to be extremely important to adapt, right? So one thing I can say about Build, as you guys I'm sure can all see, is that they're adjusting to the changing times, right? So they're making it they're providing a system where once again, we're not just a one-trick pony, right? So you're not just offering one service, right? When you say home essential brokerage, you can come to that homeowner and you may start the conversation with solar, but now when you have, water filtration, home security, internet, Zeta, to bring everything together in addition to, phone services as well. Now you have so many different services to offer that same client, right?
Mm,
So in addition to what this may mean for us overall as builders, it's also going to be very important to adapt, right, to the
mm,
changes and to the times. And sometimes I know myself, sometimes we have a hard time adapting to change, right? But
mhm.
it may be extremely needed and necessary as we move forward, just in general, right?
Okay.
So appreciate that.
I had
Any other?
one quick last question.
Yep.
Do you do trainings on the water filtration and all and ADT? How will we get the pay structure and all that for
Yeah,
selling those products?
it's on the back office.
Mm,
And yeah, if you want, I can walk you through where to go specifically
mm.
to get that. But yeah, it's all on the back office for
Okay.
you.
Cool. I appreciate you.
Absolutely, for sure, for sure. Any other questions, thoughts, concerns before we close out the call tonight? No, no, no. All right. Well, once again, I hope today was, a value. Hope it brought some clarification to what's going on in the market, in addition to, once again, our position of how we can actually take advantage of things and move forward. As mentioned, this is probably the biggest thing that I want everyone to get and understand as we move forward. If these changes take place, once again, there's going to be and I mentioned this on a couple of calls ago, there's going to be a huge opportunity within the next couple of months. Huge, right? I want you to think about, as you've heard before, when maybe some of you have gotten started, that we're now in the solar goal rush, right? Or whatever, the goal rush taking place. And you may have heard that that's going to take place over the next 2 to 5 years, right? Well, imagine that being condensed in the next 4 to 6 months. That's what you're going to experience, or that's what we are going to experience, I should say. And once again, the reason why I say this is because I've seen it happen before, right? When the incentives went down from 30 to uh it was 30 to 26 or 22%. I think it was 26%, right? But when it went down, right? It's about not that big of a difference. But so many people at that time wanted to go solar because they didn't want to lose out on that percentage from the tax credit. Now that's going down from 30 to, let's just say, 22. That's only an 8% difference. Now that's a big percentage when it comes to you getting, return back on your taxes. This is pretty significant. Imagine when that difference is going to be from 30 to 0, right? It's going to be a much greater difference. And this is the urgency and the conviction that we can go out into the marketplace and actually speak to homeowners about, to let them know what they can actually take advantage of now, right? Um, so I would just say pay attention to what's going on. We're going to have a call tonight with the CEO and president of Build. I'm sure they're going to give some more information and details about everything as well from their perspective. And, just pay attention to what's going on. But if you're speaking to clients today, this is information for you to know, not for your clients to know. Remember, your clients, when you speak to them, they may not have any idea about this at all, right? This is for us to know, kind of have the know-how that just in case a conversation does come up, you may know, you'll know how to respond to it or answer to it, right? But this is not a conversation you want to bring up. The only thing that I'm saying with clients is, hey, there's a tax incentive today that you can take advantage of. It's here today. It may not be here tomorrow. Probably now is the best time for you to go solar. Let's see if you even qualify, right? It's the same conversation over and over and over again. So with that, once again, I appreciate everyone jumping on, hearing this training. And, I look forward to seeing everyone on the call tonight as well. Take care.